I guess it's recording. Can't really see down there. Alright, so this is the main screen of my portfolio. Hopefully it's recording the sound right. That would be a pain. Anyway, so I'd say the one thing that probably challenged me the most doing all this was probably my theory of writing page, which I'm about to pull up as soon as my computer does it. There we go. A lot of times I look at writing as like an art form. So that is it's kind of strange to write about how I thought of writing as more of like an academic standpoint. I guess the whole portfolio was kind of like that. I've read as a reader, read for like entertainment and poetry and whatnot. So writing about reading from an academic standpoint and analyzing all that stuff was a little strange. So that was probably the biggest struggle I had creating the portfolio. But I did learn a lot in the process of doing all this. I created what I thought would be pretty well associated backgrounds with my writing. So here I actually shared a personal story. I guess I just highlighted all of that, but whatever. Showed a personal story, and I try to tie that in with the background to kind of give what little context I could give. So I would say the most significant part of the portfolio is probably the theory of writing, honestly. And some of the stuff, although, most challenging, it was probably what I pulled away most of the class. Because never have I really looked at writing as anything more than an art form. Whether that be because of previous teachers, that's just kind of what we did, or, just how I've always chose to look at it. I'd say finding the audience is probably another big one. Because finding an audience is pretty important no matter what context you're writing in. It really, I think it really ties into what message you're trying to put out, who's going to be listening and how it's going to be the most effective. And then, as far as like my thoughts about writing in general, I would say writing in an academic context is completely different. It's kind of, I wouldn't say dreary, but it seems more of a burden, at least to me. I would much rather write on a creative process than have to write in any sort of academic context. That's just how I feel. I've written a lot of lab reports and stuff of that nature, and it gets old fast. So I couldn't imagine actually having to make a living off of writing in an academic context. That sounds absolutely awful. I think as far as thinking critically about my own work, I'm going to take it to the effective dimension page. I've never been very good at critically thinking. I don't know. It's just like my own deficiency, which is probably exactly what it is. But the effective dimension, I think, what I've pulled out of this class is like some key points. Definitely, this is the first English class I've had, or writing class, really, that I've ever had, where I've actually, I don't want to say enjoyed, because I have enjoyed other writing classes, but this is definitely the first one where I've actually, sat in and was present, like, physically and mentally. So I feel like I pulled a lot away, and that's going to really help me be more of a critical thinker. Because I was actually asked and able to pull a lot away from my own work, which was nice. I really feel like that helped me out. As far as the struggles in development, I'm not used to Wix or anything, which is obviously what I made this on. So, creating a whole page on Wix was it was a learning process, definitely a curve to it. But just a little time with it, and it was pretty easy. And to the people who see writing as a subject of study, you are better people than I am. It's probably just my horrible impatience. I prefer math and science to writing, but it is I would say it's a pretty important field of study because it's how we do everything on all kinds of social interactions. More than just, simple context. It's just like advertisements and all that stuff. So, there's a lot of good work out there to be done with writing as a field of study. And I think that'll be it for me. Again, I just wanted to thank Mrs. Cook for being an incredible teacher. Definitely the best writing professor I've ever had. And I know that some of the lessons I've learned in class are definitely going to carry on.